Here we go. Testing out the new snap kick. All right. This is going to be wonderful. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, yeah. You know what? I love this. I love this. What a change. The patch notes. The first part about the patch note is something they mentioned recently in the blog that we saw the other day. They're enabling quick play and open queue. So for anybody who doesn't know what open queue is what Overwatch was when it first came out. Well, kind of. Kind of a little bit later, because when Overwatch first came out, you could pick, like, 6 of the same hero. Open queue is you can play any role, no matter what. So you could technically have 5 tanks in your team. They made adjustments to the kill feed and activity feed UI. I'm actually really curious to see what that is in general, because I think it'd be really cool to see what they have. What I mean by that is that the kill feed obviously has some things that's been on it, so I want to see how that updated and if it fixed some of the stuff. They adjusted the audio mix, which reduced bass frequencies on third-person weapons. I'm actually curious to see how that sounds, too, because I know people were talking about that. And they fixed a bug in the reverb system that caused reverberation to play from all directions. Now should be fully directional towards the sound source. That's going to be big, too. I'm actually curious to see that. So, the bug fixes they went with. They fixed the bug where the thank you for reporting message was not clear. So, there's a bunch of bug fixes they have here in general, which is obviously good to have. They fixed some stuff with some of the heroes. They also adjusted some of the maps. It seems like they just adjusted parts of the geometry of the map so that the way people can't, go to parts of the maps or get stuck. But I know what chat wants to know about, and what people want to know about is the updates to the heroes. First hero, Sojourn. We saw a lot of players at varying skills struggling to land shots with their alt fire. So we are making the projectile width wider. Did they watch me play Sojourn? Because I miss every single right click possible. So they probably saw me playing Sojourn and said, you know what? We probably need to fix that because missing every single shot. So what that means now is that the right click on the railgun will be a little bit larger. So the hit, basically, it should be a bit easier to hit those right clicks. They also changed the cooldown on power slide from 7 to 6 seconds. And the reason behind that was Sojourn is all about mobility, and we wanted her to move around the maps more freely. We think this will help increase her effectiveness and make her even more fun to play, which I don't disagree with that. I think having a little bit more mobility will help a ton. So that's pretty exciting. Soldier 76. I'm not surprised by this. Seeing Soldier 76 nerfed, I'm just not surprised by. We believe Soldier 76 was overtuned during the first week of the PvP beta. He was extremely mobile with new damage passives that increased movement speed by 10%. We brought his sprint ability down a bit with a new passive in mind, which makes sense, right? Obviously, with the 10% increase in DPS now, Soldier on top of that with sprint, Soldier would just have crazy mobility. Soldier 76 has always been a high damage output hero, but we are seeing fewer counters to him with one less tank per team. We lowered the damage of his heavy pulse rifle to fit with 5v5. Now, to summarize that, his current damage was 20. They reduced that to 18, and his movement speed went from 50% to 40%. I'll actually start reading the changes first and then the summary after. They also made Tactical Visor now allows for critical hits if a shot would have been a critical hit without it running. No longer removes damage fall off from his heavy pulse rifle. So that's interesting. I feel like Tac Visor will get a little bit more value now, especially if you're able to hit those critical hits, is what it seems like. We wanted to make Tactical Visor a more interesting ultimate for players who want to push their aim skills through the ability. The point of this change isn't purely to buff him or counterbalance the nerfs. We wanted to make Soldier 76 more fun to play while rewarding mechanical skill. Makes sense. This change also makes sense. They reduced Sombra's movement speed from 65% to 50%. This obviously will be kept in mind with the new changes they've made to the DPS passives. After a week of testing the new damage passive, we decided to balance Sombra's stealth speed with a 10% movement speed increase in mind. So this helps a little bit with that. Interesting change here. So Whole Hog, this ability has changed from a channeled ultimate, for example, Pharah, Reaper, Cassidy, into a transform ultimate, Soldier 76, Genji, Winston, which means that this ult can't be interrupted anymore. So this is what that means. The weapon no longer automatically fires and you must press primary fire to use the ultimate. You can use normal abilities during Whole Hog without canceling the ultimate. Stuns will no longer cancel the ultimate. So wait, you can hook somebody and then use your ult because you have to left click to activate your ultimate. That's kind of cool. We're gonna have to test that out in the training range very quickly. That's really cool. We saw Roadhog underperformance, so we were making his ultimate more interesting, effective, and fun. Roadhog was dying frequently while using Whole Hog, so we are trying to give him more options and flexibility in his ult. I want to try that out. Winston, I like this change. The Tesla Cannon secondary fire ammo cost reduced from 20 to 12. As you could see, when I play Winston, I was talking about how I felt like it took a little bit too much time to get that maximum shot. They said the change that Winston's secondary fire enables him to use it more often without sacrificing as much of his primary fire. We want his secondary fire to feel less restrictive, to use and more fluid like his kit. I like that. It makes it a lot easier to make that combo with the right click. This change is a bit interesting because I want to see how it plays out. The Wrecking Ball roll knockback is increased by 36%. I feel like Wrecking Ball is already kind of strong in the sense that there isn't as much CC, so I'm really curious to see how this plays out. They said we are reverting rolls. We are reverting rolls knockback to the original value from when Wrecking Ball was launched. We wanted to give Wrecking Ball a more unique role as a dive tank that can split up enemy teams. We made this change with the tank passive of 30% knockback resistance in mind. Okay. It's going to be interesting. I feel like they might adjust this number later on because I think it's going to be... I remember this knockback when Ball first came out with something else. Now with less CC, I'm curious to see how that plays. Zarya, they nerfed grab from 4 to 3.5 seconds. They said the reason behind this is there are less counters to Graviton Surge with one less tank per team, and phase effects no longer escape in Zarya's ultimate. We observed the ultimate over performance, so this change brings it in line with 5v5. That makes sense a bit. That makes sense a bit. So Lucio apparently got nerfed. Self-heal and penalty increased from 30% to 60%. They said Lucio had incredible survivability with crossfade stacked with a new support role passive, so we reduced the amount it heals himself. I think makes sense. I really don't know. I haven't played a ton of Lucio, but I do know Lucio has a lot of self-healing with that. So I think the change can help a little bit on that. Now we go to Baptiste. Baptiste is underperforming because teams aren't playing as grouped up right now, which makes sense. Increased his healing ammo will let him heal more targets who aren't necessarily grouped up. So now the healing ammo is increased from 10 to 13. I think that's a pretty good change overall. I definitely think Bap having a little bit more ammo on that right click, especially to be able to heal, is very helpful and will allow for Bap to probably get more heals. Obviously, I don't play as much Bap, but I do like that change. Now, Ana actually has Biotic Rifle ammo increased from 12 to 15, so there's less reload time. 12 to 15 on the ammo, and Biotic Grenade duration reduced from 4 to 3 seconds. They said Ana's Biotic Grenade was too effective with one less tank and more infrequent barriers, so we were reducing the duration of the ability. We also saw Ana using her grenade less frequently on herself because of the new support passive ability. To help compensate for her grenade, we wanted to give her power back through increasing her Biotic Rifle ammo. Honestly, it feels like that's a pretty good change, in my opinion. And I think the reason being is because what's happened is because Ana now has that passive and is able to kind of self-heal a little bit more. What's happening is a lot of the grenades are being used more aggressively. So now, at least in my opinion, now what's going to end up happening is when you're purple, you'll be purpled for one less second, which I think is good. And yes, on to the Zenyatta change. Now, we actually heard a little bit about this with Zenyatta and supports in general. In the recent blog, they mentioned they wanted to start adding some new abilities to current supports because they realized that supports didn't get as much of that changes that tanks and DPS wanted. So they're like, well, you know what? Maybe we can add some new stuff to the current supports as well as the new supports that are going to be releasing in the future betas. So Zenyatta has trouble fighting at close range. Oh yeah, actually, I'll read the ability first. So the base shields of Zenyatta went from 150 to 175. So automatically more survivability. But are you ready for this, chat? Zenyatta has a new passive. A new passive. It's called Snap Kick. The new passive ability increases quick melee damage by 50% and significantly increases its knockback. So you know what this means, that if somebody melee ults, you might be able to kick them out of the ultimate, which I mean, we'll have to test that. But on your team, it's not going to help your team, but so Zenyatta has trouble fighting at close range. So he was at a disadvantage if an enemy flanked or jumped on top of him. His new passive Snap Kick will help him create space and put enemies at his fighting range. We think this new passive will be a fun adjustment to his kit, but we also want this change to acknowledge community concerns. So essentially what they're saying is that they realize that they want to add new stuff to support. We understand 5v5 has made support heroes feel more vulnerable, and we wanted to give Zenyatta's tools to help create space between him and enemies. So this really shows that they probably do want to make changes to support, and this is probably one of the first things they had come up with. And then with Brig, Brigitte, they said they increased the shield bash knockback by double. By double. It's difficult to tell when Brigitte lands a shield bash because the impact of that ability was not easily noticeable. This is a subtle change that will make the ability feel more satisfying. Okay. Honestly, for a first balanced patch in the beta, they definitely had some good changes, and I like that they're putting the reasoning in between each change. You know what I mean? I love that. I love that they're showing the changes to that. So you know what time it is, chat? Let's go test out these abilities very quickly. All right? We're going to go test this out. Everybody, here we go. Testing out the new snap kick. All right, this is gonna be wonderful. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. Oh yeah. You know what? I love this. I love this. What a change. You know what? Ha. Now I'm curious though. Let's do it to a tank because tanks have the knockback resistance. Okay, ready? Ah! And there's more melee damage on the kick. Right? A lesson in humility. Bye. How far? Oh, you love to see it, chat. You love to see it. This is amazing. Let's go. There we go. Now, they might adjust that eventually, but chat, how do you feel about them adding something like this to, like, a hero like Zen? Also, Zen has 225 HP now, too, if you don't notice. I think, like, this is what they were talking about. They said they realized that tanks and DPS got a lot of new changes, and they wanted to add stuff to current supports. And they did that. Did use Discord? Oh, good call. Wait 1 second. You may be missed, but not by me. Double kill. Oh, you were saying like from the movie, like this is Sparta? I'm 100-bit Sammy, appreciate it. Okay, and then I want to check something with Brig. Let me see. Oh, Wrecking Ball is also back in the game, chat. They fixed that. So Brig has a further bash now. Is that what they said? No, wait, was it knockback with this? What was it? Let me look. I can just look at the patch notes. The shield bash knockback was doubled. Let me look.
Help me.
Is that doubled? Excuse me.
Shields up.
Oh, you're right. It wasn't a big knockback before. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay. That's still... See, here's the problem now. If they're running a Brig Zen comp and you try to dive their Brig Zen, like, good luck. See, if I play Zen, I'm just gonna play melee Zen. I'm just gonna run around the map and I'm just gonna melee. Just like this. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm also gonna do some damage, but... Alright, cool! And then... Wrecking Ball has a lot more knockback now. I'm just gonna look at Wrecking Ball very quickly. And then Roadhog ultimate, okay? I just want to see something with the Wrecking Ball, like, knockback again. Well. Oh, yeah. Also, I think I need to switch servers. Yep. I was gonna say, my ping seemed a little bit high looking at this. I need to switch servers. The Roadhog now, ultimate, you can use abilities during the ultimate. So let me get my ult. Here we go. So apparently with the ultimate now, you have to left click during the ult, but you can use abilities. See? What in the heck? You can use abilities during it. Watch.
Double kill. Double. Triple kill. Double.
Here we go. Let me hook in the hog. Actually, let me just do this. You can hook him in, and then you just... The animation looks so funny with that, too. So you can do a lot of stuff, yeah. So you can actually use your ability during whole hog, and it can't be interrupted now. You know what I do like about that change? It's not like they just went and buffed Roadhog's damage because they felt like Roadhog wasn't performing as well in games. They're like, you know what? What if we make the ultimate have a little bit more value to it? Like, what if we make the ultimate not cancelable? So that way you can literally just use the ult and allow to have more value out of the ultimate. Like, you can't sleep the ult now, right? You can't sleep the ult. I mean, you can technically sleep the hog, but it won't cancel the ultimate if they get woken up. So, like, you can just, like, you can ult, you can left click, then you can hook them, then you can left click them back. See? I think that was a really cool change. What I do like about these changes so far is that they seem to be like, you know what? We're going to try and make things, like, fun, and that's what I'm seeing with the Zen change. Because they did mention that in the recent blog, they wanted to make sure they started to give, like, support that too. We're seeing that. So it's pretty good changes there. And, like, even when you go, well, what about the Zarya nerf? I think the Zarya nerf, that made sense, right? Grab gets more value now. 3.5 seconds is still a long time for a grab, and it gives teams opportunity to get out of that grab. It wasn't that big of a nerf, but it was enough to where it made sense. I like that. Soldier apparently can... Check one thing.
Clean it up. Double kill.
So Soldier got nerfed a bit, but they readjust the ultimate so you can get critical hits with the ult. So let me see something. Okay, so to give you an idea,
You're going home in a
when you ult this Soldier, if I shoot here, but if I shoot up here, yeah, you get crits with the ult now. Look at, if you aim like at their, like, yeah, you get crits with the ult.
smell of charcoal in the morning.
You can do more damage with it now.
Double kill. Triple kill. Quadruple kill. Quintuple kill.
So, yeah. Wow. That makes the ultimate a little bit better. They obviously nerfed the damage, but Soldier was playing really well. Soldier was one of the strongest heroes in the beta currently. So yeah, that's good. It's like, watch, ready?
I've got you in my
If I aim down here, it won't do any crits, but if I aim up here, look at headshots. So that Soldier ult gets a lot more value now. And if you miss, it's still gonna do like the regular damage, but now it incentivizes going for like that headshot. So yeah, that's a good change. And then one more thing, obviously, with Ana, I think this is really cool, especially for me, who whenever I play Ana, I just somehow just keep spamming my left click and just doing this the whole time. You now have 15 ammo instead of 12, so you have a lot more uptime on your heals or DPS. I think that's a great change. I think that's a great change. Obviously, they changed the Ana nade to be only 3 seconds, but like it makes sense because they want to make it so Ana isn't using her nade as much on herself because she has the self heal. She uses it more aggressively, so teams are getting purple a lot of the time now. So that just makes it so the purple doesn't last as long. But yeah, that's good.
What's one more kill?
That's good. I like that. Oh, and then obviously Winston is 12 ammo now for the right click, which I think flows a little bit better now. There you go. And then, yeah. And then Sojourn has an increased projectile on the right click.
We're in this together. Double all of us.
What that means is that your right click has an easier time of hitting the target. If that makes sense. My guess is that if I went like right here, the right click will work, maybe? Yep. It basically gives a little bit more value to the right click. So that way, you know.
This ends now.
So see?
Get down.
See how like because of the size of that, it's a little bit, see, so like right there. See? Yep.
Precision.
It makes it so your right clicks get a little bit more value and you're able to hit those shots. That's what the idea of the projectile increase is. We'll see how it is, but yeah, the change makes sense for now. So, yeah.